I believe that outside of color, line is the second design element that we learn as little bitty toddlers. Of course, color, we're introduced to that like the moment we're born, how your nursery is made up, or the colors that your parents expose you to in the cars that they use to say, what color is this? What color is that? But line is the like second design that we are exposed to. Because if you can go back to preschool or kindergarten, you're always having to get in a line. So that's something that stands out in your mind as far as a line. You know that one person lines up behind the other person and lines up behind the other person. And the next thing you know, you're in a line. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. Line. It is the third element of this series, and it really encompasses a lot of things, and you'll find that it's hard to have art, creative things, fashion without lines. So let's talk about it. You're listening to Marketing Adventure, the hub for business, fashion, marketing, and other CTE educators who integrate marketing into the learning experience. I'm your host, Jackie Walker. Each week, I'll cover marketing education concepts, strategies, tips, trends, frameworks, and other information to equip you to connect your classroom to digital natives while cultivating an engaged learning environment. So come on into the room where your favorite beverage, snacks, and even your cell phone are all welcome. So as I stated in the intro, a line is created when you have a starting point and an end point. So a line has so many characteristics. So we're going to talk about those characteristics. Now, it is said that the starting point of all artistic expression is a line. Because when you think about it, when you sit down to draw, what do? You put your pen to pad and you start creating maybe little lines to outline whatever it is that you're drawing. Just think about if you're doing a sketch for a dress or an outfit. You're gonna that picture is going to consist of a series of lines which then make a shape and a silhouette, and then it goes on to create the outfit, the design that you had in mind. So it is the beginning of all artistic expression. It always has more length than it does width. Never thought about that until I was researching this, and I'm like, it does. A line is always going to be longer than it is wide. When we see line in design, it can be vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and it can be curvy as well. So there's really no limitation when it comes to line. Another characteristic of line is that it can be any width, size, shape, position. It can go in any direction. It can be in intervals, and it can be, or it can be dense. So we're going to discuss, when we talk about the principles of design, how you can use line in design to create any of those things. But it is very versatile as a design element. Now, you remember how I said that when you're in kindergarten or pre-K and you line up, one person is the line leader, then you have another person behind them, and then another person behind them. Well, each of those people can be considered a point. So each point in the sequence creates a line, and a line can create shape. So if you think about, one of the things that pop into my mind is when the seniors take their senior class photo. So they're all lined up on the tiered bench to take their class photo. And then a lot of times they then come out of the benches and they line up to create the number of the year that they're graduating. And get that, I said they line up to create the number, which is a shape for the year that they're graduating. So points again can be made into lines and lines can be made into shapes. And you see that in all sorts of graphics when you see people lined up to make a heart or whatever shape they're trying to convey for the picture that they're taking. Now, another thing about a line is that it can take on other elements as a part of creating an image or whatever it is that you're doing, clothing. So lines can have color, they can have texture, and they can have movement just by how it's placed or how it's used in the creation of the piece that you're making. Now, here's something that you may have never thought of. Line can actually control someone's thoughts and emotions. And you may be thinking, like, how can a line control our thoughts and emotions? Well, if you think about a heart is simply a line that creates the shape of a heart. And we all have some type of feelings whenever we see a heart, especially if someone that we love has drawn a heart on the paper. Just think about a kid, maybe yours, has drawn a heart on a piece of paper and has given it to you as their symbol of love and adoration. So that creates an emotion. It makes you feel something. But line itself, because in art, line is used in all sorts of ways to create pictures and images and things. It can carry your thoughts into a certain space because of what it's used to create. So, line is very essential for design. Now, as we think about the use of line, one for emotions and thoughts and all of that. It also, when we're looking at it digitally, not in a fashion space, but just digitally, if you look at that, you're reading a web page or something of that nature, oftentimes you'll see a line after some paragraph or content, and then you'll see other things. That line is creating spacing. It helps to divide the content that's on that page and it helps to separate it from what is to come next. That can be thought of in an outfit. Let's look at, we have our top, we have our bottoms. And sometimes we break that up with a belt around the waist. Well, that belt is a line that is separating the top from the bottom. So that can create a certain look. And also, the placement of the belt can actually help to accentuate something or to take away from something. If we place a belt right at the waist, then more than likely we're going to break up the top from the bottom and create maybe an hourglass look, depending on the shape of the top or the bottom of the outfit. If we were to take that same belt and we put it around right under the bust area, then if it was a dress, let's say, it would allow the dress to flow out, creating more fullness higher up. So the belt can be used as an illusion. So a line can be used as an illusion to help change the look of something. So that's one way to think of line as far as design or use in websites and different things. So I stated that before, line can be horizontal, vertical, diagonal, or curved, but there are two basic types of line. There is a straight line or there's a curved line. Your straight line, of course, goes without saying that it has no curves in it. It just goes from point A to point B without deviating. It just goes on a straight path. And then your curved line can go up, down, curvy, around in a circle. It can just go all sorts of directions until it gets to the end point. And so you have your curved line. Your straight line tends to be a more formal line because it doesn't deviate. It goes from one point to another. It suggests power and dignity when you're talking about straight lines. Curved lines add softness to things, curves, softness, and roundness to the apparel. So, if you're thinking about it from a fashion point of view, when you think about fashion that's just straight, it doesn't have any curves in it. It seems it conservative comes to mind, moderate comes to mind. So it doesn't really bring up a whole bunch of excitement. It also can bring to mind if it's lines within the outfit, like designs on the fabric. It also gives direction. But when you think about a curved line or curved apparel, you think about femininity, you think about softness, you think about cutesiness, you think about all those things that are creative. So, line can definitely dictate whether something comes across conservative or more creative and fun. Previously, I stated that lines can be horizontal, they can be vertical, or they can be diagonal. Those lines, as I alluded to just now previously, can give off illusion to the body. We're talking about fashion and lines. So, lines that are horizontal actually can make it because your eye follows the line. So, it makes whatever that horizontal line is on look more wide, especially if it's like multiple lines, it can make that look more wide. So if you want to create, let's say maybe your lower half of your body is more ruler shaped or more not as curvy as you like, or you're just a little petite person, lines going across the bodies horizontally can give the appearance of your body being a little bit larger than it is, because the eye is traveling side to side. So it's going to make whatever surface it's on look wider. Now, your vertical lines, because the eye is traveling up and down, is going to make whatever that horizontal line is on look taller, more lean, because the eye is traveling up and down. So, a person who is short may want to wear horizontal lines to give the illusion of being taller. Now, a person who's already tall, it's going to make them look even more tall or even lean. If you want to appear more lean, you would wear vertical lines so that you can appear to be more lean than you are. So the eyes are going to travel up and down. Diagonal is going to go from one side down to the other side. So it's going to make the eye travel across the body. Now, the last thing that I'm going to cover is creating line in fashion. So all of the lines that I've been talking to about are just been the characteristics of lines, period. But with fashion, there are lines created in fashion by design. Okay. And some of those lines are called structural lines, and then the other lines are called decorative lines. Structural lines are things like a pleat or a dart, or the seams that are created in the clothes from putting those pieces together. All of those lines create shape within the garment. So they're structural because they help construct the way that the garment is going to fit on the body. And so some of those lines may not even be seen because of the way that they're sewn together. Because let's say a dart is something that you really don't pay attention to in your clothes, but it's this little line that helps taper the clothes more closely to your body. Seams hold the garment together. So we may not be thinking about the seams on the side of your pants, on the side of your shirt. You'll see the seams right here where the shirt connects to the bodice connects to the sleeve. Those are all seams that are structure lines that create a look on your garment that you're wearing. Tucks, the edge of the garment, like the hem, all of those are structural lines that are created by sewing pieces together. In the construction of garments, so of course, like I said, you have your structural lines, but you also have your decorative lines. Now, your decorative lines are created, they're the added detail that's created like with stitching. If you look at a denim jacket or even jeans, that stitching that's on top of the fabric, because they've sewn the garment together and now they've gone the extra step to do a stitch on top of that seam, or the pockets that have the stitching along the lapels or the flaps of the jacket. Those are known as decorative. And a lot of times the designers will make it stand out even more by having a color of the thread that's doing the top stitching to really stand out. So it could be blue denim with white thread for the top stitching. That creates decoration on the jacket. So it's not functional anymore. It's not structural to hold the pieces of the garment of the fabric together. It is decorative. It's on top of that after the construction has been done to create little decorative details that make the outfit what it is. Also, buttons can be used to create decorative lines in an outfit, whether they're going to be functional, like you have buttons at the front of your jacket or your shirt or your top. Those are functional because it's holding that garment together in the front. But you could also have buttons that are going down a sleeve or going across horizontally across a shirt or whatever to create that decorative element, but it's a line that it's creating when they put one after the other, going from one point to another. So that is decorative line. Now, I'm going to be excited to talk about the principles of design and how you can use line within the principles of design, but that's going to come in a few episodes. But this concludes my overview of the element of design, line. Next week, join me when I talk about the element of design, texture. That is going to be so interesting because, texture is one of those things that really incite our senses of touch. All right. And also vision. So we're going to learn about that. And that's going to wrap up our series on the elements of design. I do thank you for joining me here at Marketing Adventure with Jackie, and I hope you have a wonderfully blessed day. Thanks for listening to Marketing Adventure. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and share this episode with someone you think would benefit from the information shared here today. If you have any questions or want to connect with me, find me on Instagram at Marketing Adventure. All links and resources discussed in this episode can be found in the show notes at marketingadventure.com.